He was pronounced dead. Investigators said the 31-year-old was engaged in some sort of an altercation with a suspect before he was run over by the suspect. Seattle police said the suspect then fled the area in his vehicle before officers arrived. And then police investigating a crash in South Seattle. This was during the noon hour yesterday as a man was dragged about 50 feet under a car.
This happened around 12:30 near Lake Washington Girls Middle School. Officers arrived on scene and found a 35-year-old man suffering major injuries. He was rushed to the hospital. Police say that man had been crossing the street at a corner that didn't have any markings and was hit by a vehicle. The man was then dragged under the vehicle for about 50 feet before the driver stopped. The 66-year-old driver is cooperating with police.
Como 4's Molly Shen, a snowmobiler dying yesterday. Another rider injured in a large slab avalanche reported in the North Cascades. Northwest Avalanche Center giving a preliminary report that 3 snowmobilers were riding near Harts Pass in Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest when they somehow triggered an avalanche. 2 of them were caught in the avalanche. One person fully buried and did not survive. The other person was recovered, partly buried and injured. Northwest Avalanche Center conducting a full investigation. Could take a couple of weeks for all the details on exactly what happened. The Trump administration's tariff strategy expected to hit Washington consumers hard, affecting everything from groceries to home construction. Proposed 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico due to take effect here in the coming week. In addition to tariffs on the European Union already announced, home builders worried about their bottom line. They're already saying they've impacted, of course, by inflation that's led to higher costs for supplies and labor, and the addition of the tariffs on building supplies could delay projects or even put some companies out of business. Check it on sports today. We got the Sounders at Salt Lake, 1:30 p.m. first kick, and the Mariners and White Sox have Cactus League play this afternoon at 12:10. For college hoops, Indiana here in town to play Washington this afternoon. We got WSU at Pepperdine, tip-off at 7, and Gonzaga at San Francisco tonight at 8 p.m. Kraken playing hockey here in town at Climate Pledge Arena tonight. Vancouver here with a drop of the puck at 7 p.m.
Traffic on the 4s, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Well, Mark, it's still the fog. Now, looking at 99 through Shoreline, you're clear, and 99 both ways through downtown. You're moving in and out of light fog for your Saturday morning drive. SeaTac this weekend, 99 north and southbound between 200 and 211th Street. Your right lane's closed. That's in place both ways until Monday morning. On the 520 bridge, right now, both ways in between I-5 and 405, you're moving through dense fog. Same story looking at I-90 midspan, low visibility. 405 both ways between Bellevue and Renton. Same story for east and west end of Tacoma Narrows Bridge. And then 16 east as you connect onto I-5, you are in and out of the fog. We have long-term work that'll change your route. The 516 loop ramp onto I-5 northbound, that's closed through June in the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center. I'm Karen Trombley.
And a weekend forecast, plan on the sunshine, still some fog to burn up, but it'll get here. Temperatures upper 50s to low 60s. Cloudy, lingering showers for tomorrow. Currently fog here downtown Seattle. We've got 49 degrees. I'm Mark Christopher, Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000.
The following program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Aging Options, how can we help?
It's time to know your options and master your future. My life, my plan, my way. LifePoint Law presents Aging Options with elder law attorney and life planning coach Rajiv Nagaich. Health, housing, finance, legal, and family. Know your options. Aging Options is not a law firm, but Rajiv is a lawyer. You should not reveal things you wish to keep confidential in this public setting. This program offers general advice. Having your questions answered does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. Contact your attorney or other professional to discuss your unique needs before taking any action related to the subjects discussed in this program. Now, here is nationally recognized retirement planning authority and host of national public television program, Master Your Future, Rajiv Nagaich.
Once again, good morning. It's good to have you with us. I'm Mark Christopher, producer of Aging Options. And what a show here, as we know and you learn listening to the show every Saturday, that some 10,000 people every day will be retiring in this country, turning the age of 65. Where do you go to get answers? Where do you go to get the knowledge? Why not start right here? An example of this one-hour show for today with the topics that Rajiv is going to share: running out of money in retirement. Surveys actually show that retirees are more afraid of running out of money than they are of dying. Yet a combination of longer lifespan, inadequate savings, and stubborn inflation may be putting your retirement future at risk. He'll have some things to share. The Great Wealth Transfer Delusion. This came out of Seattle Times. Rajiv found it here. We've been hearing about this for years. As baby boomers pass away, the transfer of wealth from their estates will be the largest in history. Or will it? Well, one expert saying that the great wealth transfer will turn out to be a bust. You'll want to hear this. How about freezing your credit? Scammers trying every trick in the book to steal your personal information. It is a credit freeze, maybe a good solution to protect yourself. And how does it work? Details this hour. And dementia risk factors. A growing body of research is proving that dementia is not inevitable as we age. In fact, science has identified 14 risk factors that, if properly controlled, can cut dementia risk almost in half. And your host, Rajiv Nagaich, is here to share with you an hour, get you some things to learn, and then he's headed out to do a seminar today about retirement, meeting up with a lot of people. In fact, he's got a busy week of seminars, and we're going to tell you about those because we do have some chairs available if you'd like to show up. Businessman in retirement for the knowledge and the expertise. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, to you also. You know, when I'm looking at all these stories, Mark, one thing that connects each and every single one of these four stories is the word uncertainty. Right? I mean, think about it. Lifespans and high inflation put retirement savings at risk. But at what point in time? How do I protect myself from it? The great wealth transfer, if I'm counting on maybe some inheritance coming my way because, my parents have done well. I think I've done well, but it would be helpful if we could have that assurance of that inheritance to just shore it up. But will it be there for you? Again, uncertainty. What do I need to worry about all this? Data breaches. Will somebody steal all the money away? So everything that we talk about is around this word uncertainty. And really today's show is all about talking about things that you can do. You have a lot more control over the certainty of the uncertainty issue. Even though we don't know what tomorrow is going to end up bringing, but you can shape it so that you can absolutely have better control about what tomorrow is going to bring. And so with that, let's delve into each one of these articles up here. The first one that talks about lifespans and high inflation putting retirement savings at risk. Well, I don't think anyone needs to remind any retiree today that with the inflation that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, the dollar is not going as far as it used to. And the returns in the bank, yeah, they went up because the inflation went up, and so we're getting a slightly better return. But the return that we are getting on the investments, is that keeping up with inflation? The answer is no. And this article really talks about what you should maybe be thinking about doing differently. And it's got good, it's got good insight to the whole thing. And there's a link that takes us down to U.S. life expectancy, which on the good side of things is that our expectancy after the pandemic had gone down, right? We had a lot of people who passed away unexpectedly, but now we are recovering from that, and the average American is going to live to be about 79.4 years. The average American does retire at age 62. That's the average retirement age of the person. So we're looking roughly at about 62 and 80, about 18 years in retirement. And where is that going to leave you? That's what the article is all about. And I think, Mark, as we talk on this show all the time, that the single biggest thing that can absolutely eviscerate your retirement is not just the inflation. Look, I mean, we can all grumble about the inflation, do things, but it's going to be if you had to deal with uncovered medical expenses, unplanned expenses, if you will. So we know medical expenses can be quite unplanned. So deciding on what type of insurance policy you have will go a long way. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, I think you're a little bit more vulnerable than if you have a traditional Medicare plan where your deductible is fixed to be whatever premium that you're going to pay to the insurance company. There is no deductible, no co-insurance, nothing. Let that be between the insurance company and your doctors or the hospitals that you're going to frequent. Similarly, if you're thinking, do I have enough money? And this article, I think, refreshingly does a good job and says, look, there are going to be 3 or 4 different ways to look at money. First, you need to go and secure your quality of life. Second, you need to secure your uncovered, your unknown things that you have to worry about. So things like long-term care expenses. How are you going to deal with all that stuff? So when we come back, if you're thinking about these issues, give us a call. We can certainly talk about that. And if Saket was here, I would. He's the young man who is with Better Financial Services, he does something called a retirement dashboard. That's what I have been talking to him about. And if you have any questions, call us and I can explain to you what you want your financial planner to do for you. Probably many of them who are not doing that for you. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation.
I was hoping to bring up the dashboard because you've talked about that quite often. I was wondering, is a dashboard something we all know? Again, there's reason to call. Anytime here during the hour, Rajiv is all yours. 206-421-1000. No appointment necessary. Also, he's got some seminars. He's got one today all about planning retirement. Listen up. We'll get you the dates here and remind you where you can go. In fact, today is Issaquah. After the show, we'll get you more details coming up. Hang on.
The buck doesn't stop here. Hi, this is Brian Calvert, letting you know that you can learn more by going to AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal. Visit AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them. The tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
Aging Options, all about planning your retirement here and along the way. Traffic and weather, 9:14.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Crash free on our major area freeways, including the Valley Freeway through Kent, 405 through Newcastle, and I-5 both ways through Tukwila. Though it's the fog that's adding time and focus to your ride this morning. Looking at I-5 near milepost 148, South 248th Street. I can see the sun is burning some of that fog off, though looking mid-span on the 520 and I-90 bridges. Very dense. Light volumes, low visibility. Tomorrow, heads up, the State Road 99 is completely closing between Republican Street and 50th Street. That's 6 to 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. This includes the complete closure of the Aurora Bridge. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Karen Trombley.
Sunny weather for today. Once we get through the fog, high 62, cloudy, lingering showers for tomorrow. Aging Options continues here at Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM. Dashboard. Rajiv, are they expensive? Does everybody need one? Can anybody, like a planner, can anybody help prepare one?
I think most good planners should be able to prepare a financial dashboard for any of the clients. I mean, think about what a financial planner does. A typical financial planner's job is to help you make sure that you have the answers to the questions like, when should I retire? When should I start Social Security? Should I be investing money into a long-term care policy and all that? But typically what I find in the marketplace, Mark, is that most financial planners want to focus on where to invest the money. Why? Because that's how this industry makes money, right? Investing money, selling products, and therefore you have. And today we live in this unprecedented age of uncertainty. I mean, I just came back from India last night. I was there. I was flying all over the world. I was there in Europe, in London. I stopped by up there. I stopped in Canada, a couple of cities up there, and then I came by and I had a chance to talk to a lot of people about what's going on. And it just is so plain to me that uncertainty abounds in our lives today. I mean, just think about what happened yesterday. I didn't even see the news till I read about what happened in the White House. Oh, my God. And how is that going to impact us? And I'm saying a good financial planner should be the one working with you to say, we don't know what's going to happen, but we can certainly, what we have control over, we can figure out how much money you will need with retirement, how best to go ahead, not just invest the money, but spend it so that you don't outlive your money.
Yeah.
Your money has to outlive you.
And one visit takes care of everything. No, you got to be constantly communicating, seeing
Right.
how the world changes. Like you, phones ringing. We got callers. Would you like it?
That's actually talking about callers. Let's go to Bob, who's waiting for us on line one. Bob, welcome to Aging Options. You're live on the air. How can we help?
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. You know, I've listened to you, over the years. Today I thought, wow, I have a question. Let me call in. So on a month-to-month basis, if a person is participating in a long-term care plan and they are receiving services, maybe at home or in a care center, so do they pay out of pocket for those services first, and then they make a claim to get reimbursed by the long-term care policy, or do you make a claim in some other way for your services? My point is, are there things that maybe the long-term care would have to decide if they're going to cover or not?
Right. I think you ask a pretty complex question, because we think about all the complexities around long-term care. First of all, is this a good product? Well, clearly it's, I would like to think that you've made the decision that you're going to invest in the long-term care policy because you've heard about all the horror stories about the very expensive long-term care expenses, which Medicare is not going to cover. Now that you cover the long-term, you've got the long-term care policy, your question becomes germane. Okay, I bought the policy. I'm making all this money. How will I get reimbursed? And there turns out to be there are two types of long-term care insurance policies plans that are out there. One is called the indemnification plan. One is called the reimbursement plan. Indemnification plan is that they will pay the caregivers directly. You don't have to worry about it. You make the claim. If the claim is approved, then they will take care of whatever the payment needs to be made. The reimbursement plan says, no. You make the payment first, and then after you made the payment, then we will take a look at reimbursing you if you make all the reimbursements, if you make submit all the receipts. But prior to even doing that, Bob, here's something that I'll say is a bigger problem. When you are asking the questions, how does the insurance company pay me back, whether it's reimbursement, indemnification, one way or the other, if you have a policy and the policy benefits are triggered, then I think you'll be okay. You don't need to worry about that. That's not where I find the problem to be in long-term care. Problem that I find to be in long-term care insurance policies is way too many insurance companies jump the gun to deny the claim. You have to understand, insurance companies do not make money by paying the claim. They make money by denying the claim. And so you hear about all these companies will say, oh, we've got nurses. We help you figure out how to best use the policy. When you have a need, go ahead and give us a call, and we'll send this wonderful good nurse out to you, and we will figure out how best to use the long-term care plan. And my cynical analysis and years of experience, what I find is these nurses are gatekeepers on behalf of the insurance company. So a bigger question you should be asking is, okay, I purchased the policy. Now I need to put into effect a plan that says when I need to use the policy and I make a claim, the claim will not get denied. And then once the claim is actually approved, then you will either be, and it's too late for you to be asking the question, how will the claim be paid? It depends on your policy. If it's an indemnification policy, then they will cover the bill and you don't have to worry about paying. If it's a reimbursement policy, then you would have to pay the benefit, and the insurance company, after they receive proof that you have covered that bill, then they will send that to you. Thankfully, most policies out there are indemnification policies. Does this help you?
Oh, Rajesh, that was 100% increase in knowledge. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and good luck to you as you move forward. And Bob, if I may, if you get a chance, and this is to not only Bob, to anyone who's listening. Look, these are the types of questions that we have stuck in the back of our mind. We've done all the right things, but is there something that we are not paying attention to? You're never going to hear an insurance company give you the information that I gave you. Why? Because the insurance company's job is just to go and sell the insurance policy. That's how they've made the money, and when the time comes, we'll deal with it. It's not that insurance companies are bad, But if they don't have to pay a claim, they're not going to pay a claim. So come to one of the seminars, and today is one of those, and I will lay bare the issues that you should be paying attention to, but you can count on the professional or the industries not to give you the information because it's not in their best interest.
Well, your energy.
So with that, Bob, thank you, age on, and let's go to Tom, who's waiting on line 2. Tom, you're live on the air. How can we help?
Oh, thank you very much. I enjoy your show. Don't get a chance to listen to it nearly as often as I'd like. But here's a situation that I don't hear discussed very often. My wife and I are both 73, and we've been retired for several years. We started savings when we were in our 20s and have managed to accumulate a sizable sum and are very comfortable in our retirement. We also live in a retirement community, so we don't own a home or anything else that's tangible. The community where we live can provide whatever level of health care we might need, so we're in pretty good shape. We've worked with an estate attorney for several years. We have a solid plan, including wills and a small trust, but the majority of our estate's going to charity. We currently manage all our affairs, including paying our bills, RMDs, and taxes, and all the daily kinds of things that it takes. Our dilemma is in the gray area if we become incapable of performing these tasks at some point in time in the future. We don't really have any family or anyone else interested in being a financial power of attorney. So we'd like your thoughts on finding a professional fiduciary that we can trust and we could engage with now to help us when the time comes so that we can just pull the trigger. We really don't need a full-fledged money manager, as the financial resources we have are already there.
I think you ask a great question. When we come back, you're hearing the music. Don't go away. I'll come back and give you a direct answer to your question. I think you'll be pleased with that. So stay on the line. We'll be right back.
Phone number is 206-421-1000 to reach Rajiv Nagaich here, host of Aging Options, all about planning retirement. We'll get you the dates here for the seminars, including where he's going to be at today. If you got time to join him, they're free to attend. Hang on.
Traffic on the 4s, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Dense fog is the scene on the roads with limited visibility on both the 520 and I-90 bridges. I can see it mid-span on both. A 405 both ways in Bellevue, Newcastle, and into Renton. In and out of low visibility. Some places 150 feet of visibility. Now Tacoma, you have limited visibility on the east and west end of Tacoma Narrows Bridge, and then 16 east connecting on to I-5. You're in and out of the fog. A 167 at 405, same story. And for the weekend, SeaTac 99 north and southbound between 200 and 211th Street. Your right lane's closed. That's each way. And there's lane closures on 204th and 208th at 99 with it till Monday morning. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Karen Trombley.
Forecast here for the weekend. Sunshine coming. Some fog to burn off in some neighborhoods first. We'll get to upper 50s to low 60s. Cloudy tomorrow, lingering showers. Otherwise, a gray day. Temperature still well into the 50s. A house may be paid off here. Retirement planning seminars today. Right after the show, head to the Hilton Garden Inn in Issaquah, 11:30. Rajiv will be there. 90-minute seminar. Bring a friend. They are free to attend. You can ask questions, take notes. You're going to learn a lot beyond what this radio show is sharing with you right now. He'll be in Tacoma on Tuesday. He'll be in Gig Harbor on Wednesday. All the locations here the coming week for free seminars can be found at lifepointlaw.com. It's a busy world right now, Rajiv, and retirement, and everybody's kind of concerned, do I just hang on to my job, or is it a safe time to maybe start thinking about walking away from it all and enjoying life here? What do you say to that? Of course, you still got Tom there and trying to figure out how to.
You know, when we are done answering Tom's question, which is, I think, what a great question that is. You and I should talk about what really happened yesterday in the White House. Oh my God, and how is that going to impact? And how do you really deal with this type of information? I certainly have some thoughts on there. Love to hear what your thoughts are. How are you dealing with this? Unpredictable. This is just unprecedented as to what happened yesterday, what has been happening, and what will probably happen over the next several years. Some for good, some for bad. But how does that impact you? What do you deal with that? But Tom, welcome back. Let's get to your question. I mean, you asked a really good question. Married, sufficient assets, living in sounds like some sort of a continuing care retirement community. And you are just footloose, fancy free. You're doing everything. You're independent. Life is going on great. But you kind of, in the back of your mind, you're worried about what happens if incapacity strikes and I can't pay my bills and I can't manage some of the things. What about all that? Well, living in a retirement community, you have assured yourself that at least you will not be thrown out of this community when incapacity strikes. They have, hopefully, the measure to take care of every level of conceivable care. And they have a business arrangement that if your money was to run out, they won't ever ask you to leave again. And hopefully you have enough money that you don't even have to worry about that. But who will pay the bills? Right. Who will watch out for us? And you may not have heard me talk about it, but this is at the heart of everything that I talk about. In retirement, there are three things that keep us at night. Number one, when I fall ill, will someone throw me away from wherever I'm living? Number two, what do I need to do to make sure that I don't become a burden to other people? Number three, I don't die broke. And what you're talking about is the middle issue. How do I not become a burden? And it's a twisted way of saying that if you don't have children, your question is not about a burden, but your question is, how do I assure that people are not just going to take advantage of my vulnerability at that point in time, which happens all the time? And my short answer to you would be there are professionals and there are professionals. So in the world of professional fiduciaries, you've got wonderful companies that do this type of work all over the place. And when I am counseling my clients like you, and we are building up the legal documents, in every legal document, I want people to understand that all the legal documents, the wills, trusts, powers of attorney that you prepared with the estate attorney, not a single document you will use yourself. When you die, you're not reading the trust. When you become ill, not reading the power of attorney. So the missing piece in your documents, Tom, is going to be that there probably is no guidance to whoever your agent is as to how they should be approaching their issues that you're asking them to do, which is pay bills, look after the finances that you have accumulated over the years, and do things that will need to be done, including healthcare type of things. And so my suggestion would be that, if you call my office, I can send you a list of 3 to 4 professional fiduciaries that I have relied on over the years. They do a good job, but then send you an education piece. And here's what I'd say to you. Just because you don't have children, you don't want to assume that you're going to let your professional fiduciary, whoever you pick to be the person, that you will treat them any different than your children would. You want these people to do the things that you want them to do the way you set them up, not the way that they want to do it. And if you can just make sure that you give directions, you will have a much more powerful legal document. Without that, you have some gaps and holes in your documents. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So I'll call your office and ask them to send me some information.
Right, or better yet, just email at radio@agingoptions.com.
And if that was too fast, the website, phone numbers, email, lifepointlaw.com. Again, lifepointlaw.com. A news break and more of Aging Options with your host, Rajiv Nagaich. Don't go away.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. The aftermath of the Oval Office blow-up between President Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky.
The winner out of this is Russia, the Kremlin savoring the moment, praising Trump and mocking Zelensky. And the European Union's top diplomat now suggesting America's role as leader of the free world could be over and Europe should now work to fill the gap. Zelensky touching down here in London ahead of a European summit tomorrow amid a unique sense of crisis on this continent.
ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Sophie Borge in London. Agencies across the U.S. government have begun sending a second email to federal employees, again demanding they list 5 tasks they completed at work last week. The number of U.S. measles cases continues to climb this week. Texas seeing the first death from the disease in this country in 10 years. A school-aged child unvaccinated. The Vatican says Pope Francis spent a peaceful night in the hospital and is resting after aspirating during a coughing attack Friday. He was treated with a mask that delivers high-pressure oxygen. This is ABC News.
Seattle's only all-news station, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 FM and AM 1000, NWNewsRadio.com. Here's Mark Christopher.
Foggy still downtown Seattle, a temperature of 40 degrees, and adding to Dave Packer of ABC about the measles alert. Parents being alerted here in our area to have children vaccinated, as one case has been detected in an infant here in King County. More of what we know and who most affected here. Karina Vargas at KOMO 4.
Health officials are urging caution after the first measles case was confirmed.
Be very contagious to people that were just in the same room or building as a case for hours after that person has even left.
Health officials say those most at risk are infants, those who are not vaccinated, and people with weakened immune systems. The first dose of the vaccine is typically administered between the ages of 12 to 15 months and then the second dose at 4 years old. Once fully vaccinated, doctors say it provides a 97% protection.
So there's still a 3% chance of them contracting the disease. And again, I hope that doesn't happen and it's less likely, but it's all risks.
Now, some parents are making sure their kids are fully protected against measles.
So we actually just called our doctor to make sure our 4-year-old was fully vaccinated because I think 4 is the age when they can have their second dose, and we double checked because it's like we want them to be as protected as possible.
Well, health officials say that it's important for you to check your vaccination records. They also say that if you believe you have been exposed or experienced symptoms, they ask you to call your doctor ahead of time before showing up to prevent it from spreading.
The Trump administration's tariff strategy expected to hit Washington consumers hard in just days, affecting everything from groceries to home construction. Proposed 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico due to take effect here in the coming days, actually on March 4th. In addition to tariffs on the European Union already announced, home builders worried about their bottom line are already impacted by inflation that has led to higher costs for supplies and labor, and the addition of the tariffs on building supplies could delay projects or even put some companies out of business. Careful in the backcountry. Tragedy for a snowmobiler Friday, and another rider injured here in a large slab avalanche that happened in the Harts Pass area of Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest. Northwest Avalanche Center sharing with us they had one person fully buried and killed in an avalanche. The other person was found partly buried and rescued. Does have some injuries here. Northwest Avalanche Center conducting an investigation. We'll have additional information here in another week or so. Checking on sports for today, we got the men's college hoop schedule. It's a full one. Indiana here in town to play Washington later today at 3. The Cougars at Pepperdine tonight, tip-off at 7. Gonzaga at San Francisco at 8 p.m. The Kraken have hockey tonight here in town at Climate Pledge. Vancouver will be there to see the drop of the puck at 7 p.m. Traffic and weather.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
All morning long, Mark, as you know, the 520 bridge has just been covered in dense fog between 405 and I-5. I'm seeing it starting to lift. And then as you make your way eastbound on 520, after 405, 520 east near 148th Street, nothing but sunny skies. Now, the I-90 bridge, still mid-span dense fog. A ride on I-5 at 50th Street, light fog. At Denny Way, dry roads, no fog. And then looking at 405 between Bellevue and Bothell, light fog lifting, seeing no delays right now on I-5 northbound from 405 into Everett. The reverse trip is the same. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Karen Trombley.
For the weekend, this will be the best of the 2 days here. We get sunshine for the plan today, upper 50s to low 60s. Once the fog burns off in some areas, most areas along the water still seeing the fog as an issue here. Tomorrow will be cloudy, a few lingering showers, still temperatures in the upper 50s. What do you say we continue with Aging Options here at Northwest News Radio 97.7? One of them gets sick, and who's going to take care of matters. And Rajiv had a whole list of items to share. And one thing off of that that I'm hearing you share, Rajiv, that Tom apparently does not need to have a state planning document, that maybe you're talking manuals of instruction he needs.
So let me clarify that, Mark.
Okay.
And those are things that you and I, with those words, we kind of banter around a little bit. But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Look, clearly, I think Tom would epitomize the type of a person who has done everything right in his life. They started saving money at a pretty young age. They amassed a lot of money. And in retirement, they said, look, we don't have any children, so we need to secure ourselves. We need to stay independent, move to a retirement community. Why stay in the home where there's a lot of unpredictability what will happen when I become ill, right? So he's living up there. He's done everything right. He's gone to a lawyer, probably got, he said he has a trust. He's got a will, he's got powers of attorney, he's got all these other documents, and yet there's this nagging feeling in the background. Why? Because with the power of attorney, whoever you name as your agent, whether it is a professional or whether it is a child, here's what you're saying. It's the word perspective that's missing in these documents, and here's what I mean.
Okay.
So Tom is independent today, but in 15 years, Tom is not independent. Whoever the agent that he is going to be dealing with will take a look at the power of attorney or the trust and say, well, it's now my job, now that Tom is not able to manage his own affairs, it's my job to go ahead and manage the affairs on behalf of Tom, right? Now, look at this prospective business that I'm talking about, and here's the biggest problem that we have in estate planning, the way that we go about doing it. a 55-year-old fiduciary, professional fiduciary, who you have vetted, and they do this work for a living. They got thousands of clients, and of course, they charge for the work that they end up doing, but you think they'll do a good job. And that 55-year-old professional fiduciary is now watching a 90-year-old person fall down for the third time this week. What'll go through the 55-year-old's mind? I got to do something. Whatever the heck I have to do, I got to keep this person safe because I'm the fiduciary. I have some legal responsibility up here. Where will they get the information to do that? Well, in our society, you get it from the medical community or anyone who's going to do it. And here's the hard part. If you're a professional fiduciary, you are probably already familiar with retirement communities, or if the retirement community says you need to go to assisted living, you go to memory care or nursing care, you need to go ahead and do that. And before you know it, the order is assigned and the approval is given for someone to be moved into the nursing home or the memory care or the assisted living. Look at it from the 90-year-old's perspective. At 90 years old, when I fall down for the third time, what do I want to have happen to me in my life? I don't want to be moved from my independent living to some other place. Now, whose perspective is going to win out? It's usually the younger person's. Why? Because the legal documents do not do anything to direct the younger person to do it. Now, we just talked about healthcare. What about finances? Well, the younger people will start paying the finances, doing whatever they need to end up doing. And I think a much better concept is something called a manual of instructions. The job of a fiduciary should not be to do whatever the job the fiduciary thinks needs to be done, but it is your job to say that when I fall ill, here's the financial planner I've been working with for many years. I trust this person, and I want you to keep working with this person. I want you to work with this accountant to file the tax returns. I want you to work with this lawyer to deal with things. I want you to work with this nurse, and you call on them to make sure that when I fall ill, you're not going to have me just willy-nilly move out from my independent living quarters if there's any way for me to access the care in my independent living quarters. And if I have to move, then make sure you move me only one time. I don't want to move from independent living to assisted living to memory care to nursing care. The average senior will move 3 to 4 times when they have to face incapacity.
Wow.
These are the missing pieces that there are in the legal planning. But it does take a little bit of time for you to put it all together. Most people, and Tom, if you're still listening, I'd say, most people are quite proud, and rightfully so, that I have done the responsible thing of putting together legal documents. But if you have just traditional legal documents, they are going to do your bidding using the perspective of a much younger fiduciary who probably has no guidance as to what they should be doing. And no wonder we have 70% of Americans who fail to live out their lives in their own home. It's not an accident, Mark. Mm-hmm. This is just the way it happens.
Okay, so somebody's listening going, okay, Rajiv, what do I do?
Go to the seminar. I mean, that's what you need to do. You really need to go to the seminar. I keep saying this, and coming from India, again, watching my relatives grow old up there, at least we don't have to worry about people being thrown out of their homes. And I'm always curious about how has India evolved in that direction. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, most Indians, at least in the rural part of the world where I come from, rural India, and we still adhere to the same thing. When people fall ill, you take years before you're going to fall ill. You lay out a plan for your children to go ahead and follow. And by cultural norms, the oldest boy will take care of mom and dad, but the oldest boy will also get the family home in return. So you create this quid pro quo. And sometimes there are fights between families as to who's going to take care of mom and dad, because with mom and dad comes the home.
Sure.
So...
Okay.
It kind of works out. And we can do a variation of that up here. Okay. It doesn't mean that you're going to move in with your son or daughter up here, but you can do a variation of planning up here.
Okay.
And that's important.
Rajiv mentions these seminars too, and you can do one today if you got time here. Issaquah, right after the show at 11:30, he's going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn. Right there in Issaquah, beginning at 11:30. It's just 90 minutes. Bring a friend, coworker, a neighbor here. They're free to attend. You can have more concepts of retirement, more of what he shared today, and have a face-to-face with him and other people. If not, Tuesday, he's going to be in Tacoma at Hotel Murano. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. More convenient, of course, after work. 90 minutes. Again, that's free. Then Wednesday, Gig Harbor at the Inn at Gig Harbor. That'll be at 6:30. He's not done yet. Thursday, he's going to go to Federal Way. This will be on the campus of Life Point Law, right there on 320th or so. It's just a wonderful, you'll see why he goes to the campus. And then next Saturday following the show, he's going to be right back in Bellevue at the Courtyard Marriott Bellevue. Great venues, all of these, for a 90-minute seminar. That one in Bellevue starts at 11:30 right after the show. Let them know that you're going to attend. Go to lifepointlaw.com. If you just want to get to the one in Issaquah today, just say, I'm here. Mark told me to come. And Rajiv knows I'm coming. And you're going to learn so much here. Phone number, if you got a question for Rajiv, there's still time here at 206-421-1000. The great wealth transfer delusion, freezing credit, dementia risk factors, all subjects that we have on board here with Rajiv for today. Always things to talk about. And every week, it's just a whole lineup, and no two shows are alike, Rajiv. You proved that again today.
Well, life is, there are no two people live the same exact life. Mm-hmm. So no two shows the same exact thing, because we talk about things, whatever is on your mind. And, let me talk to you, Mark. I mean, yesterday, I got to tell you, on the plane, I was watching what's going on in the world, and I saw what was going on in the White House yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like shaking my head and saying, I mean, how many more curveballs do we have coming out this year? And the issue that I worry about is not so much, I mean, politics aside, whatever your politics is, it is what it is. But how is this going to impact the average consumer in America? We got tariffs, we got fights, we got wars. We're not going to support you today because you're not doing good enough for us. And where are we headed to? And the only thing that I can always come back to is, more than at any time in our history that I know of, and in the 23 years that I've been working in this area, now is the time for us to hunker down and say, anything that I can do to protect myself, I have to and I must do. And that's where the Safe Harbor Trust comes in. That's where it comes in to go ahead and have a very definite plan about what you want your future to look like. For sure, the government is not getting you there. For sure, the business is not getting you there. Mm-hmm. And you have what you have. No one's going to give you any more. Educate yourself. Come to a seminar. We can make it happen.
Website, lock it in, bookmark, and make it a favorite here. And like I said, more information about that seminar today and other articles that he's speaking of here soon. Go to lifepointlaw.com. Again, that's lifepointlaw.com. Have a look.
Hi, it's Brian Calvert thanking you for listening to Aging Options. For more great options to help guide your future, go to AgingOptions.com. That's AgingOptions.com. And select blogs under the free Learning Center tab. AgingOptions.com.
I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them. The tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Dense fog on our major area freeways, and you're in the thick of it on the I-90 bridge between 405 and I-5. 520 bridge lighter than the I-90 bridge. Tacoma drivers, Tacoma Narrows Bridge east and west end, you are in the thick of it. Now 16 east as you connect onto I-5, you're clear. 167 looks good at 43rd Street, and then light fog northbound approaching 405. 405 through Renton and Newcastle. And as you approach Bellevue, you're in and out of the fog. Now, you're right on I-5 at 50th Street, light fog, and then I-5 at Denny Way, dry roads, and no fog. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm Karen Trombley.
Sunshine set for today. You'll get to it. If you're still sitting in fog, it's coming. Highs will be in the low 60s. For Sunday, it'll start out cloudy skies, a few light showers. Showers will linger through the afternoon. Rest of the day, still gray, upper 40s to low 50s. Typical pattern for this time of year, on the way for the start of the work week as well, with cloudy skies and a few stray showers for Monday and Tuesday. and subjects, including freezing your credit. Scammers are out there. Should you freeze everything to protect yourself? And then the great wealth transfer delusion here. We've been hearing about this as baby boomers pass away. The transfer of wealth from their estates will be the largest in history, or will it? At least one expert says the great wealth transfer will turn out to be a bust. Rajiv looking into this. Everything he shares is online if you want to read more at the blog at LivePointLaw.com. Your reaction to just those two stories there, Rajiv?
You know, they're both connected, and what they're really going to is talking about the fact that we have to prepare for living longer than what we're expecting to. I mean, gone are the days that you can say that, I'll be 65, I'll retire, live to be about 70, 75, and then after that, it'll be okay, so I just need to do this. I'm utterly amazed as to how many financial planners will do what they call the Monte Carlo analysis. All computer simulations, what it is. Somebody created a program, you put in some numbers, and it gives you, and it'll say, you got a 90% chance of success that you will not outlast your money if you live to be, and I'm utterly amazed how many people will stop at about 82, 85, 87. Seldom do I see it go much beyond 90 and 92. Right? So we are living and we're planning our lives about 90, and I keep saying this. Yeah, it is probably quite likely that you and I are not going to live to be 105 years of age. Highly unlikely. But how would you like to be one of the few freaks who actually gets there? Mm-hmm. But you get there with no money in your pocket. What would you much rather plan around? To live to 105, pass away at 90 and leave your children a big inheritance? Or plan to 90 and live to be 105 with no money in your pocket? Which is the better plan? These are the types of things that I think you need an objective person guiding you through the process. So the two stories that you're talking about, the first one is talking about just that longevity challenge. It's not only the longevity challenge, it's the uncovered medical expense challenge that comes with longevity. That's the bigger bloody sin up here that we don't hit in the head. And the second one is, will your parents' inheritance actually materialize for you? And there are two cases I'm dealing with right now, right on point. I think this is a very old family in the South End who died, had 2 daughters and 8 grandchildren from those 2 daughters. One daughter has died with 3 grandchildren, and the other daughter is still living, not doing well, unfortunately, with 5 grandchildren. And all the children, this daughter and all the grandchildren, except for one, they are not doing all that well, but they're counting on an inheritance because, our parents have been in the community for years. They've got X number of acres, and, they must be loaded. Look at the inside. They're not quite loaded because whatever the load was, that was all spent on taking care of them for about 17 years dealing with incapacity. Now you're dealing with a family who's coming apart. What do you mean that there's not going to be any money? Mm-hmm. And we'll be doing what we call as the reading of the will, which is pretty much like a Hollywood-esque type of a meeting that you end up doing. But that just is one example of many that I've dealt with over the years. Your inheritance may not materialize because nobody is thinking that we're going to outlive our money, and there's no planning around how to protect the money from being just thrown away at uncovered medical illnesses. So these two stories and your own life with everything that's going on in the world today, particularly what's going on in America today, if this is not a wake-up call to us to go ahead and say, look, I can't really count on external factors. I mean, these external factors have become unpredictable. Depending as to which administration is in the office, these are just massive swings that are happening anymore. But what is the one thing you control? You control your action. And you need to understand, look, even though we talk about VA, Medicare, Medicaid controlling these costs, I can't promise you that Medicaid will be there tomorrow. But I can promise you one thing. You will still keep growing older. You will still want to go ahead and keep your costs low. You will still want to leave some of your money to your children, not to the government, not to a nursing home. But what is your plan around that? Or are you just going to sit there on the side and say, well, we'll just figure it out when we get there? That's not a good enough plan. So come to a seminar, and there's a lot more control that you have. And let's talk about the financial dashboard. Mark, we don't talk about it enough. The first two stories really talk about the financial dashboard.
Right.
You need to be working with a financial planner who is not just helping you invest money. I think anyone can help you invest money. Today, with the software and the robo-investing and everything that happens, it doesn't take too much to go ahead and get a license. I mean, there are some really good, talented financial planners out there, but they're far and few in between. What you need is somebody who goes beyond just investing, somebody who can help you make sure that they're answering the question that will give you predictability. When should I retire? When should I start Social Security? Should I buy a long-term care policy? If so, which type? How much money can I afford to put aside in this one? Is this a good decision I'll make? Should I keep my retirement accounts the way they are? Should I convert them to Roth accounts? And if you are not getting those questions answered, you're not getting the full benefit of a financial planner. And the one that I know of is Saket, right? I mean, he's the one who's been working with me for years. He's been doing this stuff, and you can reach him easily. Get a second opinion on whatever you're doing. You can get a second opinion by calling Saket.
Yeah, and again, the website with all the phone numbers and contact, lifepointlaw.com. And basically, with those topics you just shared, that's basically the dashboard. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? This.
Right. It's beyond just invest. Before we even start talking about investing, I think these are the questions that need to be answered. Then you start looking at the investments. And talking about Saket's phone number, here it is, 206-234-7516. That's 206-234-7516. Just tell him that you want to get a second opinion and get a dashboard done, and he will do one for you.
One of many retirement planning workshops, seminars happens this afternoon. Hilton Garden Inn, Issaquah. Be there at 11:30, 90 minutes. They're free to attend. Bring a friend. You will be amazed at what you're going to learn and be exposed to here and not much ahead in planning retirement. Hang on.
Traffic on the fours. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Good thing is crash-free, though light and dense fog scattered around, especially on 405 through Newcastle and Bellevue. 520 bridge, adding focus to your Saturday morning drive with the dense fog. Also dense fog across the I-90 bridge into and out of the city. Tomorrow, an event will close State Road 99 completely between 50th and Republican Street, 6 to 11 tomorrow morning. This includes a complete closure of the Aurora Bridge. Now, for the weekend, construction on 99 both ways in between 200 and 211th Street. Your right lane's closed in place both ways until early Monday morning. And ongoing work has the 516 loop ramp onto I-5 northbound closed, and it's in place through June. Detours are posted in the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center. I'm Karen Trombley.
Weekend forecast. This will be the nicer day of the two. If you're needing some sunshine and maybe a reason to wear shorts and sandals, sunshine eventually. If you don't see it in the fog, it'll be here. High today could hit 62 in parts of the Sound, especially away from the water's edge. Cloudy tomorrow, lingering showers expected. And why not make it at ease? Have somebody who's been around this subject for years and years and years and helped thousands of clients, and perhaps another person like you. Head to a seminar today, Issaquah, Hilton Garden Inn. They're in Issaquah, beginning at 11:30. Rajiv Nagaich here of LifePoint Law will be your host to talk about retirement planning with a whole bunch of people just like you, interested in knowing what else is there to retirement I'm not aware of. He'll be in Tacoma on Tuesday, Hotel Murano. Gig Harbor, Wednesday night, another free one there at Gig Harbor at the Inn at Gig Harbor. Thursday is going to be in Federal Way at LifePoint Law Campus there in Federal Way. That'll be home base. That's a fun campus. A lot of parking, too. Courtyard Marriott Bellevue then Saturday following the show. Dementia risk factors, another one you had here of an article that executive producer Tony lined up here. A growing body of research providing that dementia is not inevitable as we age. In fact, science has identified 14 risk factors here. A lot of us in radio have hearing devices. We're concerned because that's on a list of like 10 that think about dementia, and I guess we should talk about and learn about it early stages of life and not when we're like forgetting.
Not later on, and that's what it talks about. There are different things that we can end up doing, and all of these things really go to the one basic fundamental fact: isolation. Yeah. When you lose your hearing, when you lose your vision, you become much more isolated. This is a great article. Just take a look at it. If you have somebody in your family who's had dementia, and you worry about it, will I get some? Again, do something about it. Go to AgingOptions.com on the blog. Take a look at this article. You can controlling these risk factors could cut your dementia risks by about 45%.
10 seconds, my friend. I know you got a seminar to get to over there in Issaquah. Everybody get to that seminar. He's fired up. He's got things to share. Final word, my friend.
Hey, age on, everyone. We'll see you next week and hopefully at the seminar.
LifePointLaw.com. Again, the website.
The preceding program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Hi, this is Brian Calvert letting you know the best way to learn about aging options is to go to a seminar. Go to lifepointlaw.com and select upcoming events for a seminar near you. That's